Hello guys, and welcome back to Shattered Ice Gaming, where we talk about all things board gaming. And if you enjoy these videos, please do hit the subscribe button and leave a like. It really helps the channel. And today we are looking at something a little bit different. Something I have actually been looking forward to more and more as its delivery date has got closer. And that is this, the Hunters 1492. Now this was a game I backed on Kickstarter. When I saw some of the little mechanics and the intricacies of this game that we'll look at in a little bit, it kind of sold me. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to back this. We'll take a look at it. We'll see if it's any good. If it's not, I can always sell it on. But as things have got closer and I've looked at it a little bit more, I've got more and more intrigued by it. And I do think that this looks like it's going to be a pretty good game. So this is going to kind of be an unboxing video and a little sort of overview of the game as well. So let's get on with it, shall we? So inside we have these player dashboards. These are the first things we get to see, and these are pretty cool. They are quite big. They do take up a bit of table space. And then we've got our caravan, this is kind of going to be what we travel around on the world map with, and we can upgrade it as we go along. And then at the bottom we've got this time tracker, and this tracks our campaign length, because this entire campaign, you have to complete it in 60 days, which I assume will mean essentially, travel time and missions. And then some more of these player boards, which what's really nice about these is the indentation markers in them, which we'll have a look at that in a little bit in more detail. But your player board area, rather than having like cards all over the place, although I'm sure you'll have those too, you use tokens for weapons and armor and the such like rather than cards, and they all slot nicely into this player board, just giving it this really kind of tactile feel. It really feels kind of very present on the board. Like I say, they are a bit big. They do take up a little bit of table space, but it's not like this game is going to be a huge table hog. And we will see why that is very shortly. So next, we have this really nice sort of, I don't know what to call it, like a ring binder card holder type thing. And with that, we'll be putting cards into that to kind of build our world map as we go. And then this looks like just a couple of extra ones for expansions and stuff like that. That'll add new locations to our game. So yeah, they're a pretty cool way of doing things, actually, rather than a big board. And then here we have got a map. So it's a pretty big map, like four pages in size, four A4 pages in size. So what's that, like A2? And this is essentially the world map of these kind of, I think they're kind of Germanic states from like the 1400s. And then on this side, I believe this is kind of the area of that map that we kind of play the game in. So we've got a world map there on paper, and we will also build that world map out of some cards that we will see a little bit of later. And then here we have what is perhaps one of the best parts of this game, the map book. So rather than board tiles, all of your maps, all of your battles and encounters are going to take place inside this book. And just looking at it, wow, I mean, this artwork is amazing. Like, it looks a little bit like sort of video game type art. And then you've got these icons on, which this is one of the things with these kind of map books, is you do tend to get iconography. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion did it, and they do spoil the artwork a little bit, but they're not too bad here. I think they're quite muted enough that they don't really draw your eye away from the artwork. And it blends quite well, I suppose. It looks like, you've got these kind of great connections between pages, where you might have a page that's just kind of like this one, where you might be in a forest, and then this looks like maybe some swampland. But they can also become two-page spreads, I would suspect. And just more of this, I could look through this all day. I really like the way this art's been done. And then, oh wow, look at this one. Now you've got like dead bodies on the floor. It looks like a ransacked hut of some kind. And you know, just the atmosphere that this like kind of page portrays. You know, you can see something bad's gone down there. And then there's a few more here, just kind of, you know, town centre type thing, bit more forestry. And then, oh, wow. Like, oh, that cemetery is just, oh, that's, I'm pretty speechless with that. That's fantastic. That's just the level of atmosphere on that and the details and, you know, looking at this, all the kind of the fog in the air and like each one of these gravestones, looking at them, they all look like an individual piece of artwork. You know, that it's not just copy and paste of grave marker after grave marker. You know, they all kind of look individual, like they've all got a bit of their own character. And that's I can't wait to play a game on that. That looks like it'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure there'll be lots of undead monsters and such like rising up out of these graves, and yeah, probably not going to be not going to be fun when I get eaten alive by zombies or whatever. But I just think that for something as simple as a cemetery, just looks fantastic. And then we can move on to a bit more forest. There's a lot of forest in here, and oh, that's cool. Looks like a woodcutter's camp or something. Yeah, it looks kind of like a woodcutter's camp. And from the looks of these icons, it looks like there's going to be kind of werewolves attacking it or something like that. And then you've got like another little village or town centre type area of some type. Oh, there we go. Look at that. We've got like a market square. And of course, the mainstay of any fantasy adventure is, of course, a tavern, which that's a really nice tavern map. Just to get a little bit of a closer look here, because look at the level of detail on this. I mean, look at that bar. That's like, it's not just a kind of a keg and a bottle on the bar. That's like they've taken the time to put like a fully stocked tavern bar there with all those bottles and everything, and then all these tables and chairs with like half-eaten food on there, the nice burning hearth. This back area looks like a sort of the storeroom. And then if we just get a little bit of a wider shot, a full shot of this, I mean, you can see all sorts of bits and pieces on this tavern. Like, look at this table here, and these lines around it, I'm guessing they're kind of like a difficult terrain thing, which makes sense because you're going to be jumping over tables and stuff to get into these fights. And then the back area does look a little bit dark. It does look a little cluttered from the iconography, and of course there's this big number 1 here. But overall, you know, it's not too intrusive. It really lets you appreciate this wonderfully designed piece of art that you're playing your game on, and also has kind of the functionality of these rather subtle icons that are going to tell you all about the different terrain, you know, blocking line of sight, providing cover, all that sort of stuff. And then we've got, now this is the one thing that I kind of wish there was a different way of doing it, looking at all these kind of little character portraits. So this is going to be where you place your enemies, I imagine. And they do distract a little bit because it is kind of a big icon that really takes over some of the artwork. They're maybe the one thing I don't like to see. I'd rather some kind of sort of a generic spawn point, and then it to be kind of explained to you in the mission setup, you know, the sort of quest setup of what goes on those spawn points. Just something that can blend in a little bit better. But overall, you know, it's such nice art, and it's a thick book as well. You know, you've got a lot of pages on there. It's a hefty boy, that. And it's just got to give you so many different environments to play, and there's roughly the size of it. You know, it's just like 2 A4 pages. So yeah, I'm going to put that away because I just keep talking about how how much I love that artwork all day. So here we've got token sheets, and these are one of the things that really drew me in to the idea of getting this game. Rather than cards, we have these tokens for our weapons, which, yeah, they're a little bit bigger. You know, it is going to take up a little bit of table space for your player area. And it looks like you've got sort of your various attacks at the bottom there. I guess this tells you whether it's a melee weapon or a ranged weapon, or in the case of the musket, that could mean both. I'm not too sure about the rules for this yet, so the really cool thing, though, is these notches down the side, and these are how you upgrade. So certain bits of equipment can have certain upgrade tokens attached to them, and they have to fit onto those notches, which I'll just see if I can grab one and show you what I mean. So you look for one that matches those notches with the grooves. So, for example, this modern lock we've got here, which is, of course, going to be an upgrade for a musket or a pistol of some kind, and the notches match, and it clicks in like that, and then it gives you whatever your bonus is. And I just think that's kind of this really cool physical presence. This we look at this grease here. Obviously, that doesn't fit, so you can't upgrade your musket with that. And it's just kind of got this this really nice tactile presence to it. It makes I don't know why it appeals to me so much, because normally I'd look at this and say, oh, it's just a space waste. You know, you can really fit all that information onto a much smaller card. But I don't know, you put little notches and grooves on things, and suddenly I think it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. So yeah, I really like those. Here's the player board, and we can see that this is your equipment area on this left-hand side. So we fit that into our inventory. And so even though I say it's a bit of a table hog, is this really going to make up that sort of massive amount of table space? It's not really going to take it up, because you've got everything you can carry is sort of, just placed on this board. So I just think that's a really, really good design. I really like that. And of course, well, we can't carry the flail as well as the musket because of how much space it's taking up. So I imagine the musket, as an example, is a pretty powerful weapon, but you can't carry much else. And of course, any knowledge of old-fashioned weapons like muskets, you're going to have to reload it. But of course, we look at this crossbow, and that takes up less space, so you could maybe carry a sword as well. And then you've got space for armors and shields and all the other sort of stuff. Let's just have a look at one of these, see if we can take a look at some armor and some shields and some of the other weapons. So I'll just pop out this sword, and there you go. You see that sword can fit nicely into there, and then you can armed with a crossbow and a sword. So it's kind of, it gives that that choice for you to build your character how you want. Do you want them to take a sword and a crossbow, or maybe they just carry a musket around? Maybe they just carry a flail around. It gives you that kind of defined inventory space, and it's up to you of what goes in there and what you can fit in your inventory. And these are all the weapons, and what I really like about these as well is they just look like brutal medieval weapons. There's no fantasy weapons here. It's got that reality sort of grounding. You've got like these big old Zweihanders and a huge axe, and like a warhammer, spears, axes, maces, all these sorts of things that are just real weapons that existed at the time. Nothing's fancy. Everything has this down-to-earth feel. So even though we're going to be fighting sort of, crazy monsters, werewolves and ghosts and such by the looks of it, it's just going to kind of feel like an alternate history sort of thing. At least that's what I'm hoping. And I love medieval history. I find it fascinating. So this is kind of the thing that really drew me in. And then we've got shields and nets. A net, that's pretty cool. Torches. These look like sword upgrades and the such like. And then, of course, we've got all this armor and things like that across the top. Shields. Different types of shields. No, that fell out. And then let's take a look at this brigandine. So, I mean, look at that brigandine armor. I really like the art again. It looks kind of like, it looks sort of like what I'd expect in a video game like The Witcher or Kingdom Come or something like that, where it's kind of almost photorealistic. And I don't know, it just really sells me on the theme. And of course, we have many different types of armor, as well as the brigandine. And of course, I suppose they will give us various different effects. These all look like upgrades largely, silver balls for the musket, an elongated barrel. And I imagine these upgrades will kind of like, they'll give you different advantages, maybe against different types of monsters. So you've got the silver balls. Well, I expect they will be effective against something like a werewolf or a ghost. Whereas lead balls might just be more powerful against humans. And then moving on from the weapons, we have what are clearly our coins, so our money. There's not actually a lot of coins with this. I suppose the denominations might be quite large in terms of how much each coin represents, but that's your basic sort of coins. And then all of these on the right look like status effects. And then wound tokens maybe, and a bunch of status effects. So it does look like there's quite a few status effects. And we've got some NPC tokens as well by the looks of it. And then this is quite clearly a board for crafting. So there is some crafting in this, and I hope it's a relatively simple crafting system, because I don't like it when crafting gets too in-depth. So it looks like we've got like yarn and then leather, and rocks, I guess, some kind of maybe uncut diamonds, and then in the middle we've got what look like flowers, and then these apples and leaves and mushrooms and wood, I guess. It looks as if we've got kind of on the right hand side we've got all kind of mineral resources, and then on this left hand side we've got, I mean, I might think they were wound tokens normally, but I think that's going to be kind of like biological material that you can use to enhance things, so like blood and bones and things like that you can use to maybe make poisons. So the middle looks like it's sort of vegetation, the right is minerals, and the left is like your sort of biological poisons, and I don't know, I'm not quite sure what some of those are meant to be. But yeah, it looks like it could be a pretty good little crafting system. Like I say, I hope it's not too complex and in depth. And then we have got, okay, this looks like potions and poisons and the such like. So, healing potion type things. We've got down here grenades. Oh, okay, so we've got frag bombs, incendiary bombs, acid grenades. Okay, that's that's going a little kooky. An acid grenade, that's like reaching into the realms of fantasy, but it's a nice bit of variety, different things, allowing you to execute attacks in different ways. And then I don't know what these are. Maybe these go on the board. Looks like they're the same on both sides. Yeah, I'm not too sure what they're for. Like maybe they represent door locks or something. I'm sure the rules will explain it. And then here we have got what look to be some more bits of equipment. So different types of helmet, bucklers, a couple of dagger type weapons by the looks of it. And looking at these, they don't have the notches on them. So I'm guessing these are kind of base weapons that you can't upgrade. But they look pretty cool. I think you've got a nice sort of a variety there of different types of helmets. You don't need too many, do you? A helmet's a helmet at the end of the day. And then it looks like down here you've got magic runes. I guess these will probably be upgrades for the mage character. Yeah, and then you've got your bows and these shield tokens at the bottom, whatever these are, these coloured shields. I'm not sure what they do. Some cubes, so these are, of course, for tracking your character stats and that sort of thing. And then we have here, this is a nice letter from the looks of it. It's like an introduction to the game by the looks of it. I'm not going to read it now. But that's nice as well. This obviously you can't see this on camera, but the card this is made from, it feels kind of rough, like sort of a linen stock, and it gives it that feel of like old paper. We've got like a nice sort of wax seal down here. That's just printed. That's not actual wax, of course. It looks like it's from the Duke. So there's his his seal on this letter that he sent to us. These look to be some reference sheets, so just they're all bound together. It's pretty tight binding, that as well. I'll just have to get that sorted. Okay, so that's the binding dealt with, and what have we got? Okay, the Tome of Tales. So this is going to be your storybook. They could do with a back page on that, really. I mean, that's yeah. I'm not too happy that doesn't have a back page covering the story text. But this is a small company, as far as I'm aware, who've made this. Oh, that's okay. That one's got a back page on. And this is your Tome of Quests. So tutorial quest 3A. I'm a bit far in there, I think. Got all kind of the setup for your quest, and it's nice plain black text on white paper, easy to see, no fancy graphics. You know, I suppose the advantage of that map book is it does handle a lot of that, and you don't end up with these like cluttered pages for your quests. This looks just like a hero tracker sheet, so yeah, because it's got space for 4 heroes, so you can keep track of your heroes on there. Rules compendium. So I believe this has 2 rule books with it, and the rules compendium is like a glossary sort of all the different rules, all kind of arranged. Yeah, it even says glossary there on that page. So it breaks down each rule of the game. So this is kind of a handy reference thing to have next to you, because they're in alphabetical order. So I need to look up ranged attacks. Well, I look at the index, because it's very nicely got an index on the back, which there's too many board games that don't have indexes these days. But yeah, you can just look up what you need in there. So it's a nice little reference book to have nearby. And then this one is how to play. So this is going to be taking you through the setup there, as we can see. Looks like a character creation, and then sort of your first kind of battle with what look to be wolves. So it takes you through everything really nicely, teaches you the rules as you go, which is always nice. You know, you can kind of learn as you play. These look like large reference cards for iconography, terrain features, traits, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's looks like there's 4 of there's 4. So this is a reference card for each player, basically. It's a pretty big reference card, to be fair, but yeah, they're a nice thing to have, just so everyone can keep track of stuff. And then these look to be equipment diagrams. Oh, okay, so this is our crafting. If we look at these, so we've got main melee and ranged weapons, then other equipment. So this is how we're going to craft our weapons and equipment. So that's nice. We can just collect those resources and then just use them to build stuff. It's not kind of like any more in depth than that. And then we've got some cards here. Let's see. They look like event cards, like road events, and you get kind of a fair few of those. Some more events. Map cards. Those are the map cards I was talking about earlier. So we'll use those over the course of the game to construct kind of a world map as we travel, in that plastic ring binder we saw back at the beginning. Yeah, there's plenty of these, of course, because it's gonna build up our world map. And then behind that we have what look like some more event cards of some kind. The beginning. Okay, I'm guessing if it says the beginning, these are probably meant to stay in this order. So we won't look through those, but yeah, some more event cards there by the looks of it. And map cards, etc. Okay, these are going to be our enemy cards, of course. We've got mutated rat. And that's a pretty thick stack as well. It looks like there's quite a lot of enemies in the game. In fact, it looks like there's they can't all be enemy cards. Muted rat, giant rat, wolf, giant wolf. Maybe we've got like different variants of kind of the same miniature. But again, these are some nice artwork on them, nice clear sort of stats, some special rules. What I assume is like their attack and strength, but maybe dice rolled and how much damage they do, something like that. And okay, so they're not all enemy cards. We can see behind them as something else. So I'm not going to go through too many of those enemy cards. But it looks like some more events, and then these look like town locations. Oh, and there's some more map cards in there as well. Okay, so it wasn't all enemies. We've got these. What are these? Visit the Master. Okay, maybe these are activities we can do. Herb picking, visit the Master of Hounds, Heinrich von Liebig. And what's the name of the Duke? I'm not too sure, but I think that was the name on the letter from the Duke. And yeah, we've got like a picture. So that's like an NPC card, I guess. Like we can visit him and go and talk to him. So yeah, they look pretty cool. Opportunities for... So I'm going to guess these are going to be location events and kind of NPC-specific conversations and things like that. So that looks pretty cool. And then these look like these are town cards specifically, or locations. So we've got Pensburg's Armourer, Pensburg's Duke's Castle, and it looks like this is where you can buy and sell things. Yeah, these look like shop cards to me. Yeah, definitely. And I like that they've done this where they've got a buy value and a sell value, rather than a lot of games will have printed on the card, you know, it costs this much, and then you get half the amount for selling it, but sometimes it doesn't half properly, and then it's, oh, do I round up, do I round down, that sort of thing. Whereas this is just nice and clear. If you buy an arquebus, it costs you 10. If you sell it, you get 5. Whereas an elongated barrel will cost you 7 to buy, but 4 to sell. So, nice and simple there. And then, so these are story cards, I believe, so I'm not going to open these. I think they're story cards. So we'll just leave those for now. Yeah, these look like more story cards, so we'll put those to one side. Okay, these are character ability cards. So this was the other thing. And I really like how these have been packaged with these nice little tabs that you can just rip open. You're not having to use a knife or anything to get into your card decks. So this was the other thing that really drew me about this game, that it's not just move and attack sort of thing. You've got decks of cards for each character. And from the looks of it, you get quite a few of them. And it looks as if you can use it as an action or a reaction. So, as an action on your turn, you can move or parting leap. I'm sure we'll find out what those are. Heal or damage. But then, as a reaction, you can use +1 die during an attack versus, I'm guessing that's undead. So play on yourself at the beginning of attack. So I'd have thought reactions would have been on enemies, but I would assume the way you're going to play it might be a bit similar to Gloomhaven. So if we look at these two, you've got Iron Will as an attack, and then you can play this as a reaction. So I'm guessing it's going to be either or of these two halves, not both. So you wouldn't be able to do this attack and then have +1 brain during attack. You'd have to use that on something else. But yeah, you get a lot of these. I mean, look at the amount of it. This is all for one character, for the sorceress, and that's just a huge stack of cards. So I like how it's not going to be your board littered with, or your playing area littered with ability cards. It looks like they're all folded into a deck, which comprise your actions as well. So that's pretty cool. That was the other thing. Like I say, that intrigued me. We won't bother opening the rest of these, but you've got this guy who looks like he's going to be our healer. Looks like kind of a doctor character, or maybe a priest of some sort. This guy's clearly a warrior. Let's see if... let's just have a quick look and see if he gets... A lot of them seem to have movements and jump as this top card. So let's open this up and just draw one of his other cards at random and see the kind of thing we can expect to see once we've maybe leveled up a little bit. I'm not actually too familiar with the rules of this game, because I didn't follow the rulebook or anything online a lot. So I don't know how many cards you start with or what it is specifically. Oh, that's cool. Attack 1 and then heal as well. Attack 2. So it looks like a lot of these are sort of... Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, this is going to be a late game action. Attack 2, attack 2, attack 2, attack 3. So it looks like you're going to be able to build your character in the way that you want, based on the cards you have. Because, of course, that's not going to be your... You know, your entire hand of cards isn't going to be this. You're probably going to be limited to like 5 or 10 cards, or maybe 20, actually. I think I heard it was 20 cards. We've got our archer there, so... Oh, wow, that's attack 3 right off the bat. And then this guy, who... It was his artwork that kind of drew me to the game as well. I just love this this piece of artwork of this guy. You know, he looks like a proper grizzled war veteran. And then what else have we got here? That's a box of some kind, so... do not open before the fight. Okay, so we won't look in that. And then we've got miniatures. So there aren't an absolute ton of miniatures with this game, but there are enough for what you need. And they're pretty nice. The detailing on them is pretty good. And you've got like a mold, sort of a mold gap here. But let's see if we can focus a little bit on him. Yeah, these are pretty cool. And one of the things I really like about fantasy games, probably more so than sci-fi, is when it comes to miniatures. You know, you get lots of these beasts and monsters with really textured sort of feels to them. Which, you know, I like sci-fi stuff too, but when it comes to painting, textures like this, they just catch paint really well. And if you're using things like contrast paints, they're so easy and so pleasant to paint, and you get such a nice effect on them. I know people have asked about... people have been very nice about my painting, actually. It's really, really nice to see when I get these sort of really nice compliments about my painting skills, because I don't think they're that good, to be honest. I'm certainly no Duncan Rhodes or anyone like that. So like my main piece of advice when it comes to painting, when people are asking for tutorials and things, which I will film myself painting some of these miniatures, and talk about what I do and my process. Not that there is much of one. But contrast paints and the right type of miniature is what really helps. Like, this guy's going to look great. I don't know what colour I'll paint him yet, but I can already see from the detailing in his face, that's going to catch whatever paint I choose to use for his skin colour. That's going to really catch the paint beautifully. And contrast paints will sink into the eyes and into the mouth, and it'll give you these darker recesses. And there's like the tufts of fur as well. We'll do a similar sort of thing. And this looks to be a ghost. And that, oh, that's really nice. Look at that. This is some poor victim with like a noose hanging around her neck. I like the use of the grave marker there to sort of give her that flying effect. These are always quite difficult to paint because you kind of want to do that spectral look to them, like where they're all sort of a translucent green. I'll have a think about how I'm going to paint them. But lots of smooth surfaces on there as well, which for me does make painting a little bit more difficult. And then a little miniature of our wagon, which that's awesome as well. That's got some really nice detail on there. I'm going to enjoy painting that up. And then we've got an insert. And lastly, we have our final rack of miniatures. So this insert's actually pretty cool. Just I know, fascinating insert here. But that's really nice that this is clearly for holding all those tokens. So it's really nice that they've thought of that. You've got a tray for holding all of your tokens, because as we saw earlier, there's quite a lot of them. And then we've got our dice down here, which I'll just grab a few of those. So it looks like we've got 3 different types of dice. These green ones, this looks like it's going to relate to the game's morale system. So I'm guessing that's like the white flag. At certain times you're going to roll this, I would guess. And if you roll the flag, then maybe it means you retreat. Or maybe if you don't roll the flag, it means you retreat. Who knows? And then we've got what looks to be... This yellow dice looks like some sort of modifier dice. Or it's not quite a D3, because it's got 2 2s, 2 1s, but it also has a 0 and a 3. So it's not quite a standard D3 where it's just results of 1, 2, or 3. You've got a 0 on there as well. So I don't know what that'll be used for, but I'm sure we'll find out. And then these red dice, these look like the combat dice, and they look like just a standard D6, where the 6 has been replaced with these 2 swords. So whether that's some special icon that does something different, or whether it's just a fancy 6, I don't know. So just before we look at the miniatures, we've got our player boards here as well. So these are for the specific characters. So we've got Ernst Bergman, and it looks like you've got sort of your basic kind of fantasy stats that you'd expect to see. Fist, brain, eye, hand. So strength, intelligence, perception, dexterity would be my guess. And then what looks to be health along the bottom. And it looks like these go up in multiples. And I'm not sure what this is going to be down the side here. And then I would guess this is a health track, but then... Oh, maybe this is a... I'm not sure. We've got Ernst Bergman, Friedrich Baumann, Elena Wolf, Melina Don Kiev, and Wilhelm Schwartz, which, like I say, this guy's artwork was the thing that really... I don't know what it is, because in a lot of board games, this guy would just be like... he'd just kind of be like an enemy soldier. There's nothing special particularly about him, but I think that's what's really drawn me to this. I love this Zweihander sword. He's holding this grizzled beard. He just looks like a veteran soldier who's seen the wars a bit. So that looks really cool. Let's, since we're talking about him, let's take a look at his miniature, which, yeah, like I say, that could, in any other game, that would just kind of be an enemy soldier, but there's something about this game where he just looks like a hero of sort of, you know, the old Germanic medieval times. And these are all pretty cool. I mean, they're not... Oh, he looks cool. I'm guessing he's a bandit of some kind? Or she, maybe? Not sure. And, you know, these miniatures aren't... they're not like top-tier, most amazing miniatures I've ever seen sort of thing. I mean, he's got a little bit of a bend in his hammer there. See, I mean, if we look at him next to Friedrich, it's like, you know, in a lot of games, okay, it's a foot soldier and their captain. But I like that. I like the fact that the heroes don't look overly heroic. They kind of look a bit like regular guys. We've got a guy with an axe here. And what looks to be a musketeer. Which is pretty cool. I like that, how he's loading his musket lock. Pouring his powder in. Another musketeer. He's got a few of those, so these are obviously enemies. Got what looks to be a crossbowman there. I hope I'm not missing any miniatures. There's 4 spaces down here. That seems to be missing miniatures. Oh, that won't be good. Oh, look at this guy, though. Ah, there's a sneaky assassin. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. I mean, you can't beat long coats and hoods, can you? It's the staple of any fantasy sort of thing. Looks like we'll get a few of those. This guy, I think he's another one of our heroes, isn't he? There's a shield and his axe. And there's another hero that looks like our sorceress, which I really like, the falcon or the eagle there, whatever you want to call it. That looks like some evil undead sorcerer. And that looks like our archer hero. She's pretty cool. Yeah, I like the drawing of the bow. That's some nice detail on there. This guy looks just like some kind of street thug. But again, really nice. I mean, look at that. He's like, it looks like he's got a dead rabbit or something hanging from his belt. See if we can get some focus on that. And then it looks like up here we've just got kind of wolves and rats. So not a massive amount of miniatures, but it looks like plenty for what you need. And I quite like games that don't just have lots and lots of different enemies that basically do the same thing. So what I'm hoping is, even though it looks like we've only got about 7 or 8 different groupings of enemies, they're all going to be very specific, and they're all going to feel very different to fight, which is what I always like to see. I'd rather fight a group of like crossbowmen and musketeers and soldiers. I'd rather fight like these 3 guys over and over again if they're all interesting to fight, than just kind of like 15 different miniatures I have to find, all which are, you know, nice unique sculpts, but the only difference is they roll a different attack die. You know, the one rolls 2 dice and one rolls 1, or something like that. It's like, I like the idea of this guy with the crossbow. You know, he might be able to fire faster than the musketeer, so he might do 2 attacks and he'll only do 1, something like that, but his will be more powerful. That kind of thing is what I like to see, where enemies feel very different. And that is just about everything, really. Yeah, that's pretty much everything in the base set that I got. So this looks like a really fun game, if I'm honest. You know, like I say, when I backed this, I kind of backed it and then sort of forgot about it and thought, yeah, it might be an okay game. It got me curious with its artwork and some of its interesting mechanics and what have you. But I didn't think too much about it, so I'm going to have to read the rules and learn how to play it. But actually, as time's got closer and now I'm actually looking at it, I actually think this might be a really, really good game. It's like really caught my attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the rules. I'm going to have a little bit of a painting marathon, which I'll do a couple of videos for. And if you guys want to see me do a playthrough of this, then please, you know, comment. Just leave some comments saying that you'd like to see how the game plays, and I will attempt to do a playthrough, which will probably be me learning the rules as much as anything else. So yeah, that's all I've got to say, really. And if you like this video, then, you know, a subscribe is always appreciated. And I'll see you with whatever comes next. So take care and have a nice day.